Alyssa, it's safe to say you've had quite the shitty day.
Quite the shitty week.
Yeah.
What a week it's been.
What a week.
Where do I even start?
I mean, so the week started off good.
Yeah, so the week did start off good. Good old Memorial weekend. We didn't post an episode because we were traveling out of town for a wedding that we were going to be in. Actually, our first and only guest so far, she was getting married, cousin Tara, and we were both in her wedding as bridesmaids. Mm-hmm. And the weekend was fun. It was good. We had a lot of fun. Got to see a lot of family we haven't seen in like a year because of COVID. And the ceremony itself was really nice. The pictures were great. And we go to this cocktail hour in between the ceremony and the reception. And for some reason, they couldn't make a Moscow Mule, which I don't know why that was a thing that couldn't happen. They had ginger ale, so I don't know why they couldn't just make people with ginger ale. But so, I get a nice little rum and Coke, find a little table with some of our friends at it. We're sitting there just talking, and I'm like 95% sober. Like, we had a couple mimosas throughout the day, but it had been over the course of several hours. So I was like nowhere near any level of intoxication. And I'm just sitting there talking, and all of a sudden, I just spill my entire drink into my lap, ice and all. And I'm just sitting there like, you gotta be kidding me. Because we still have to do our entrance into the reception. I still have to walk around people, and I just have this, like, very noticeable wet spot, like, all on my dress. And thankfully, he is our third biggest podcast fan. Shout out to our third biggest podcast fan. James was like, it'll make a great podcast story. And I was like, you know what? It will. So I had to go downstairs. I took my dress off. I was trying to air it out. We couldn't find a hairdryer. One of the ladies who was working, setting up stuff for the wedding, she, came down and found me. She's like, do you want me to bring you a new drink? And I was like, yeah, sounds great. So I got a vodka Sprite to keep it, as clear as possible. But I got the dress dry. There was no noticeable stain, considering I had Coke. And then I went back up and we were good. But just the fact that that would happen to me, just being klutzy enough to spill a drink on themselves. And that brings us to yesterday.
So let me start this part of the story.
Okay.
So I was driving back in my car, and I have the voice to text message system basically.
Yes.
And so I had texted Alyssa something about, I think, recording the podcast. Asked her a question, and all of a sudden my voice to message thing says, oh, I'm just casually talking to Mom on the phone about me having to get stitches. And that's literally all I had context for, and I had pulled into the driveway, and I just see Mom in the kitchen, talking to you about your, should we call it an incident? Accident?
Yes. Sure.
Would you like to explain what happened?
I won't go into the gory details, but all you need to know is that I had a workplace incident, an injury. I was out in the forest. I do a lot of work outside, and I was trying to clear some paths with some electric clippers, and I clipped myself, for lack of a better word, in the finger. And I had to go to urgent care because it was a deep enough cut that I was like, I should probably get this looked at. Because, there was a guy at work who I guess, had some medical training. He was like, yeah, he's like, you probably could go. He's like, you don't have to go. You're not forced to go, but technically, since it's workplace, you should probably go. And then I also texted a photo of it to a doctor I know. It was like, do you think I need to get stitches? And he was like, yeah, you should probably you probably need stitches. And I was like, okay, that's good enough for me. So I had to go, and I ended up having to get 3 stitches in my finger. I can't use my left hand really for a week. If you want to see my Frankenstein picture.
Yeah. It's not as bad as I thought it would look, but
it like doesn't look that bad. It's just I don't really have
movement.
A lot of range of motion right now. It's still a little like numb too. They said that probably would last a couple days. It really like wasn't that painful. It didn't bleed that much after the initial bleed, but it just like was enough that it needed a little extra help. Mm-hmm. Plus, I was like, if I don't go, this is gonna get super infected because I can't take care of myself.
And also, too, like, you might as well collect the workplace, like, pain for your injury.
Correct.
Right.
Yes. So anyways, I got stitches. And as we know, Hannah, just like Shawn Mendes's butthole, I, too, was needing stitches.
I was actually, like, so hoping earlier today you were gonna mention that again.
I was just, like, thinking about stitches, and I was like, oh, yeah, we have a joke.
Right.
Talk about stitches already.
So you're recovering today from that.
Yeah, I'm taking a nice, like, slow day.
And you're out in your hammock, right?
So that leads us to today.
Yeah.
So, my injury was yesterday, so I have stitches for a week. So today was, like, my first recovery day. So I'm just, like, taking it slow. I don't have anything I need to do. So I'm like, I'm going to go out in my hammock, take my laptop out there, just do a few things for the podcast today. And I'm sitting out there, and it's, like, really nice outside. The weather's really warm, but it's, like, shaded and, in some trees. So I'm just having a great time. And all of a sudden, I just, like, feel a spritz of wetness. And I watch as a bird shits on my laptop. It was like a drive-by shitting, like a drive-by fruiting, but it was like the bird just shit and ran. And I was like, are you kidding me? It was all over my laptop. Thankfully, it did not land on me. I mean, I did feel like a little bit of like the collateral splashback, but like it didn't get on me. It was all on my laptop. Thank God it was there though, because it would have landed on my lap if I hadn't had my laptop. So I'm like, is it better or worse that my laptop got covered in bird shit? And I don't really know. But it was really gross. And I immediately texted you. And I was like, look at what happened to me. I'm just trying to relax and not hate my life. And here's this other thing that just happened to me.
Alyssa sent me the picture. We'll post it on Instagram this week so you can all witness it.
Yeah, we'll post some things. We've got a lot of things we'll probably post for the Instagram.
I said that's something you really can't come back from, because every time you look at your computer now, you're just going to be reminded that a bird shit on it.
But yeah, it's been a week.
Winnie the Pooh, chubby little cubby all stuffed with glue. Winnie the Pooh, chubby little cubby all stuffed with glue.
I can't believe I only messed up a tiny little bit at the end there. I
How long did
practiced
it take
for
you
about
to learn?
like 30 minutes.
You'll be happy to know I sang a little bit.
I was just kind of sitting watching the mini adventures of Winnie the Pooh today, and I was like, you know what? There's a keyboard here. I'm bored. I bet I could learn the theme one-handed, because, if you listen to the intro, I currently can't really use my left hand, so it's just the right-handed piece.
I think I got the words wrong. I said...
Did you?
I just did the part where it goes, Winnie the Pooh, and then I said, chubby little cubby all stuffed with glue.
Stuff with fluffies.
Oh, okay.
Stuff with fluffies.
Glue makes more sense.
Glue.
It rhymes.
Bum, 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 bum.
Can you imagine if Christopher Robin had like a glue, like huffing problem, and he just used Pooh to like huff glue, and that was like the whole premise?
What? Like it's some
be
fever dream? Like
Right,
some like
right.
huffing
He's like high off of
hallucinogenics
glue.
or
That's
something?
why he has all these
Oh my
crazy.
God. Insane.
All right. Welcome.
Welcome. This is an impromptu intro to Research, Rank, Repeat. I am one of your hosts, Alyssa.
And this is the other host, Hannah.
And as you may have heard, I don't know what we're going to cut and what we're going to keep, but I got bored and learned some of the Winnie the Pooh theme song because we're here with a very special episode. Deep in the 100-Acre Wood.
There lived a boy named Christopher Robin who huffed glue.
He's huffing a lot of glue.
There lived a boy named Christopher Robin, and his many stuffed animals turned into actual animals with slightly creepy voices.
Yes.
Alyssa came up with this idea.
I did, yes. I was thinking about what would be a good episode to start ourselves back off with because we took a little bit of a break between this one and the last one. And I was like, we were like obsessed with Winnie the Pooh. I'm looking at you in our room and I know there are 2 wall arts hanging up and as well as stuffed animals currently in the closet in our bedroom that are Winnie the Pooh. So
Yes.
We had VHSs, we had computer games, we had stuffed animals, we had books, we had like adventure, find like
Oh, you mean like
activity
Where's
books.
Waldo, but
Yeah.
like Where's Pooh?
Yeah, we had stuff like that. We had like the I Spy kind of books. We had everything. We had so many things Winnie the Pooh themed. It just seemed like, you know what? We should rank the characters. They're a colorful bunch of animals and a human. So why don't we rank them from worst to best?
I'm gonna be honest. So you came up with this idea when we were waiting for our plane to fly back to Michigan,
Yes.
having a drink,
Yep.
and we were kind of just last minute trying to come up with something that wouldn't take too much effort, as far as like watching or whatever.
Yes.
And when you suggested this, I immediately was like, I don't know if that's gonna work. But then the more I started to like look into it and the more I like watch stuff, I actually was like really invested
Yeah.
in this ranking.
I know. I was too.
And I feel very like
Passionate.
about this.
I do too.
Yeah. All right, so I got a little bit of background on Winnie the Pooh.
Okay. I have
And
a
it's-
few facts as well, but
Okay.
you may cover them, so I will add if you don't have them.
Okay. It's actually quite interesting, some of the stuff I found. But, so Pooh is a fictional teddy bear created by English author A.A. Milne?
I think it's mine.
It's Milne. Milne.
Mine?
Milne.
Milne? Mine? I don't know.
Milne. I think it's Milne.
Milne? Okay.
A.A. Milne and
Okay.
English illustrator E.H. Shepard. And the first collection of stories was from the book Winnie the Pooh in 1926. In 1961, Disney licensed certain film and other rights, and since then they have been the owners of
Yes.
Winnie the Pooh franchise, essentially.
You should
So-
mention, however, that the character Winnie the Pooh did appear in a book before he got his own book. But he
Yes.
was also known as Edward Bear earlier on as well.
Right, I think it was a series of poems.
Yeah, it was a series of poems.
So, the author named pretty much all the characters after his son, Christopher. Well, his son's name is Christopher Robin
Yes.
Milne, which is obviously Christopher Robin from the stories is based off of him. But he also named characters after his son's, like, teddy bear he named after Pooh. Or Pooh was named, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yes. Winnie the Pooh was named after his son's teddy bear, which was named after a bear named Winnie. And a swan named Pooh.
Yes, exactly. And the other characters were also Christopher Robin's like toys growing up, minus a couple characters which I will get to. So the stories are set in the Ashdown Forest, which is located in East Sussex, England. So it's actually based off of real places. Obviously, like, the names are made
Fictional.
up for the stories,
Yes.
right? So, Pooh, Piglet, Eeyore, Kanga, Roo, and Tigger were all based off of his son's actual toys. Owl and Rabbit were created by the author's just own imagination. And then Gopher was actually created specifically once the Disney bought out Winnie the Pooh in the franchise.
Yes.
And actually, the reason that Gopher was created, he was supposed to be a replacement for Piglet.
I read that and I was like, in what world would anyone prefer Gopher over Piglet?
So there's a theory that the character of Piglet is supposed to be gay.
Oh.
And so in the first Winnie the Pooh film, which came out in 1966, it was Winnie the Pooh and the Honey Tree. Disney actually got rid of Piglet. The director said they chose Gopher to be Pooh's sidekick because he represented an all-American grassroots image.
He also was based off of the beaver character from Lady and the Tramp. Because the beaver sounded very similar. I think it might have actually been the same voice actor, to be honest. I didn't look that up, but
Yeah.
they were trying to create a character like that to add.
Right. So in 2002, Pooh was ranked as the most valuable fictional character, generating over $5.9 billion in just that year alone. And there's actually another interesting thing. So in the stories and in the movies, Pooh and his friends play this game called Pooh Sticks. Where, sorry, that sounds funny. Where basically you drop sticks from a bridge and then you wait and see whose stick goes down the river and crosses the finish line first. And they actually have a real world championships Pooh Sticks event. Takes place in England, and they've been playing it since 1984. And players come from like all over the world to play this game, which is insane.
It sounds pretty intense.
It's very intense. So another thing that's interesting, it's long been speculated that each character represents a different psychological disorder.
I have heard that, yeah.
Yeah, so there was an article by a Canadian Medical Association journal, and in it they kind of mentioned that Pooh is like the ADHD, Piglet is a generalized anxiety disorder, Eeyore would be some sort of a depressive disorder, Rabbit is narcissistic personality disorder, etc., etc. Which I think that's interesting because you don't see a lot of mental health underlines, I guess, in a lot of children's like shows and things written for children, but also they're not coming out and saying it. So
yeah, so I was reading something about how the stories were praised for a lot of like humor, but they also dealt with a lot of character in the sense of like personalization of these characters and also like relationships between them and just the like the humanity they're able to bring out within these characters. I know was something that was heavily praised at the time that it was written.
That's pretty much all I have. So if you have anything else you'd like to add.
I have 2 additional facts. You covered a lot of the stuff that I had. One thing is that there is a National Winnie the Pooh Day. Do you want to take a guess what date it is?
Am I supposed to know?
Just pick a day. Pick any day.
May 4th.
It's my birthday! January 18th.
Woo woo.
Winnie the Pooh Day. Because the author's birthday was January 18th. That is why it's National Winnie the Pooh Day. So now I know any day it's my birthday. Winnie the Pooh. We're the same, you know? The other thing that's interesting is that Kenny Rogers, famous singer, Highway to the Danger Zone, wrote a ballad about Winnie the Pooh called Return to Pooh Corner. It's supposed to be a very touching ballad. I listened to part of it and I was just confused as to why this existed, but I was like, all right, good to know.
Did you feel touched?
I did not feel touched, but I also didn't listen to the full thing. But Kenny Rogers is a Winnie the Pooh super fan.
He joins our club.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so if you don't have anything else,
yes,
I think what we should do first is just like run through all the characters that we're going to talk about. Just a little description for people who either haven't watched Winnie the Pooh in a long time or who aren't familiar with the characters.
Okay.
So obviously the main character would be Winnie the Pooh, or also known as Pooh most of the time.
Or Pooh Bear.
Pooh Bear, yeah.
Yes.
So he's a teddy bear. He's the main protagonist, and he's sort of like the naive but like friendly leader of the group, I suppose.
Yes. Sorry, I just wanted to point out that Winnie the Pooh is only wearing a t-shirt, and he originated the crop top and also is the first icon for body positivity, in my opinion.
Yes.
Because he's short, stout. He's short, fat, and proud of that.
He also is a flasher.
What? He's a flasher?
He doesn't wear pants.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean he's automatically a flasher. None of Kanga and Eeyore and Tigger don't wear clothes. They're just nudists.
then they're all nude flashers.
It's not flashing if they're nude. He has his little crop top, and it's all good.
But we love Winnie the Pooh in his how much he loves showing off his body. It's great.
Exactly.
Okay. So then we get Christopher Robin, who's the only human character to appear. And he is sort of I don't know, is it essentially his imagination is what drives the story, right?
Yeah. That the idea is that he is imagining the stories with his stuffed animals. And is based off of the author's son. And actually I was reading something that like his son was like really unhappy with Winnie the Pooh and like the fact that a character is based off him, because he said it felt like his father was using him to like propel himself. So I think that it's interesting that they didn't exactly have a great relationship in that sense. And he used to get like teased for it in school, so he wasn't a huge fan of the series itself.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. So then you have Tigger, who is a tiger. He is sort of like the class clown, like goofy,
wild
extreme
card.
Energy, like mischievous character. You have Piglet, who is a small pig and is kind of more of like the shy, fearful, looks up to like Pooh and Christopher Robin.
Worries a lot.
Yes. We mentioned he's rumored to have like generalized anxiety disorder. Which,
yes, of some sort.
I relate. And then we get Eeyore, who is a donkey.
Eeyore. That's fine. Whatever. Okay. It's fine.
I can't speak.
I know. I'm just giving you a hard time.
Yes. So he's a donkey. He is very much like the pessimist, glass half empty, glum.
I mean, I'd be pretty pessimistic if I was filled with sawdust.
That is true.
Yeah.
I literally watched Christopher Robin nail donkey's or Eeyore's tail back into his ass.
Yes.
And I was like, I don't blame Eeyore for how he feels.
I know, right?
So then you get Kanga, who is the only female main character to appear in these stories. The mother of Roo, who is Kanga's son. And she's sort of, this sounds cliche, but she's like the mom of the group. She's like the calm, sort of logical, I guess, person.
Yes.
Then we have Roo, who is Kanga's son. He's sort of like, he's the youngest, so he's sort of like the playful, energetic child character.
Yeah. Just there to have a good time.
Doesn't have a worry in life. Hasn't had to pay a bill or work a day in his life. He doesn't know
what's ahead for him.
No taxes.
The IRS isn't going after him. The Sanders estate. Pooh's probably wanted for tax fraud, right?
Probably.
Because he lives in someone else's home.
That's true.
Sanders estate,
Yeah.
Who knows what happened to him? Pooh's just living there rent free. Okay,
then we have Rabbit, who is a rabbit. He's sort of like the impatient, bossy. They said he's sort of known to have like a narcissistic disorder.
He's the Squidward.
Yes.
Of
Correct.
100 Acre Woods.
Correct. Then you have Owl, who is obviously an owl. He's the eldest character, sort of the mentor, thinks he kind of knows all, talkative character. And then we have Gopher, who is a gopher. Like Alyssa said, he's based off of the Beaver and Lady and the Tramp. And like I said, he was originally intended to replace Piglet, but became his own character.
He's like he likes to do some digging, excavating, you know, as one does.
As
dig
one
holes,
does casually.
dig a tunnel, dig a tunnel. Quick
before the hyenas come.
Dig.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's our 10 characters.
Yes.
So there are other characters, technically. There's like a Heffalump baby that shows up in one of the newer shows, and some other girl who's like the Christopher Robin replacement in a newer show. But we went, nah, we're not doing that. We're doing the set 10 characters that have been around since the beginning of at least of the animated stuff.
That's fair.
But yeah. So we're going just 10.
Yeah. Quick and dirty.
Top 10. Just like my stitches.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay. I don't remember who started last time.
So I'll start.
Okay.
Number 10 is Gopher. Gopher has maybe one of the most annoying voices in the history of animated television. In a general sense. He's annoying. He gets in the way of everything. He could never replace Piglet. So because of that, he is bottom tier.
I agree. Number 10, I put Gopher. I just don't like him, and I don't have anything else to say about him.
So for number 9, I did Owl. He's a know-it-all. He's pretentious. And that kind of person I don't like. So go away.
Yeah. Go away. Number 9, I also did Owl. He reminded me of the kids in high school who just thought they knew everything. And even if they did, I don't need that kind of energy around me.
No.
No.
So for number 8, I have Kanga. And there's nothing wrong with Kanga. I like Kanga, but I feel like she doesn't get enough personality. At least from going back and watching a bunch of things, I just don't feel like I get enough about her or enough from her that I like have a strong opinion either way.
Yeah, number 8, I went with Rue. My issue with Rue is, at least what I was watching, there was really not a lot of like moments, and there was no real character development. I wonder if just because, you know, Rue's the youngest and a child, really just there for like additions to scenes. So at least what I was watching, I didn't think I could rank Rue higher just because of the lack of moments and scenes I saw.
So number 7, I did Piglet. And again, there's nothing wrong with Piglet. I just think that Piglet is a little too much similar to myself that I don't like it. Because I'm a worrier and overthink things and, you know, have anxiety with stuff. So I don't like seeing that portrayed in a way that I'm like, not. I guess that's how I'll phrase it. There's nothing wrong with Piglet. I just don't like the similarities I see between us. So I want it to be, I prefer him to be lower on the list.
Number 7, I went with Rabbit. The one thing I do appreciate about Rabbit is he's got a lot of sarcastic moments, and he has sort of this dry humor that you don't really see from any of the other characters. But I also think, similar to Rue, he's not really one of the main characters. He's more like a side background character. And so I didn't feel like, based off that and what I had seen, I could move him up higher.
So number 6, I did Rabbit. And I agree that Rabbit is kind of like one of the mature ones in the group, and he has to put up with all of their shit, you know, and he's just trying to grow his garden and live his life, and Pooh's just getting stuck in his window and ruining his garden and has to deal with Tigger, and he's just trying to live his life, you know? He's just trying to be a successful farmer, and all these other people are messing it up. So I can relate to Rabbit more as an adult. I can understand his point of view.
Okay, so number 6, my biggest shock to date of any list I've ever done. As a child, I idolized Tigger. I had many a
what?
let me finish. I had many a Tigger stuffed animals. I got them in Disney when we were at Disney. Probably paid a lot of money for them. I mean, I didn't pay for them. My parents did. I loved when the Tigger movie came out. I was so happy. But fuck Tigger. He is annoying as fuck as an adult. He fucks shit up and he doesn't try to fix it. And I just can't stand his energy. I don't know why I ever liked him. I was so disappointed when I watched like Christopher Robin the other night. And when I watched the specials today, I was like embarrassed of myself as a child that I even liked him.
That's a hot take right there.
He got me fired up.
Yeah. So number 5, I have Rue. And I agree. I just think he's, like, fun. Like, he's just, like, you know, he's a child, so he just likes to have fun. I like his relationship with Tigger. They get along really well, and I like seeing that bond. And I just think he brings, like, a good, like, youthful playfulness that I like to see.
So number 5, I went with Kanga. I feel as the only female character, I felt a bit obligated to maybe put her a little bit higher than I would have. And I also think that she... like, similar to Rabbit, she's a little bit more of the mature one of the group. And I feel like her having to, like, take on the mom role, not just for Rue, but essentially the other characters as well, is probably draining. So I have respect for Kanga in that regard.
So for number 4, I have Christopher Robin. And as the only human of the group, I really respect the amount of support he gives to all his friends. Like, he's always there for them. He's always up for the crazy things and being supportive and giving advice. And my favorite scene, I think, of any Winnie the Pooh of anything, and it's also in the book, is when him and Pooh are talking about him going to school. And he's just like, will you, like, come to this spot and just, like, think about me alone, like, while I'm away. And I just, like, really love loyalness to his friends and the care he has for them and the thoughtfulness he has for them.
Yeah, so number 4, I also put Christopher Robin. I mean, the story does not exist without him. That
Right.
universe doesn't exist without him. And so... you know, he clearly has love for these animals. And, you know, I watched the Christopher Robin movie last night, the one that came out a couple years back. Yeah, so it's interesting to see kind of how they think he would have turned out as an adult. But, you know, even as an adult, he's able to go back and really, like, still give that love and attention. And there's something so genuine and, like, innocent about that, I guess. Mm-hmm. That he feels relatable, especially as like a child watching that.
Yeah. So number 3, I did Winnie the Pooh, and I love his, like, I don't even know if I'd call it positivity, but just like optimism. He has a lot of optimism. He's very, like, happy with himself and of his surroundings, and he's perfectly content to do absolutely nothing. But he really cares about his friends. He always makes sure everyone's doing fine and has time for them. And sure, he's mischievous and, you know, maybe his ideas aren't always great. But he's just, like, can be very, like, retrospective in a way and introspective. And I can appreciate that in a main character.
Yeah, number 3, I did Eeyore. I feel like, to me, he's relatable in the sense that I wouldn't necessarily call him, like, a pessimist, more like a realist. And sort of, I see a lot of things, I think, the way he does. And sort of like that half-glass empty sort of personality. But I think that Eeyore, too, like, he provides a lot of the humor in the moments of him just sort of stating what's actually happening in this very, like, dry, you know, one-tone voice, basically. But I feel like he, like, at certain points in everyone's life, you can relate to being like Eeyore. Like, just, like, sometimes you gotta be a pessimist, I feel like. And Eeyore gets that, and he just embraces it and does it 24/7, and I gotta respect that.
So number 2, I have Tigger. And while I can agree that he can be annoying, his design is amazing. Like, his character design is, like, one of the best character designs. The way that they're able to take basically you have the basis of a tiger but transform it enough that it is, like, a distinct look is done really well. So I have a lot of respect just for character design itself. And he's just, like, I mean, for lack of a better word, he's a wild card. You know, he rolls up, in the middle of the night, and he's like, hey, I'm here now. Deal with me. And as, like, upbeat and, like, energetic as he is, you still can see that he's very insecure. And that, to me, is really interesting. Being able to see those bits and moments where, like, he falters and doesn't have, or, like, has self-doubt and, like, lack of self-confidence when he comes across as this big ball of energy and personality and character. So I really like that dynamic. I have always found really interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
That's interesting when you bring it up that way, but, like, still, just, like, I cannot. We can't do that.
I mean, that's fair.
So number 2, I have Winnie the Pooh. Pretty much everything you said I agree with, and I feel like everything he does with his heart. And he's really trying to do what he thinks is the right thing. And like you said, it's not always the right thing, and he does mess up, but I feel like he's always trying to, if he messes something up, he's always trying to find a solution. And, I respect and I appreciate the fact that he just leads with his heart, and he, like, puts everything he has. I mean, you can see the love he has for the other characters as well as Christopher Robin, and just how he always is optimistic that, Christopher will come back for him and won't forget about them. And he's like the silent leader of the group.
Yeah. So probably my most controversial number 1 pick of any list ever. Eeyore is number 1 on my list. Now, I have liked Eeyore since I was, like, 2 or younger. I got an Eeyore stuffed animal from Disney when I was 2. And ever since then, Eeyore is, I think, I can confidently say, my favorite animated character of anything ever. Just, like, in a general sense. And I don't know what it says about me that as a 2-year-old, my favorite character is a depressed donkey. Considering I was, like, the highest energy child in existence when I was younger. I literally got lost in Disney World. I just went off on my own. I was like, you know what, I'm good. See you later, family. But I just love the fact that even though he's pessimistic and not seeing the world in, like, a bright light, and, clearly he's a depressed donkey, he still makes time to see his friends and spend time with people that he cares about. And I think that's really encouraging in a way. That, like, he has a good support group of people who care about him and love him. And he's able to still find joy in things. And I can really appreciate that. So that's why he's my favorite, both as a child and as an adult. I can respect different aspects.
That's fair.
Plus, he's got that cute little pink bow on his tail. Of course.
So number 1, I went with Piglet, and I wouldn't say growing up that Piglet was even, like, one of my top 3 characters, but I think Piglet, it's kind of strange, because he's essentially like an old man mixed with a baby. He's very cute, but he can't, like, make a decision ever. He's so indecisive. He wants to be needed. He wants to be, like, wanted. And he's so scared to take chances, but you also get to see these moments of, like, bravery out of him. And I think that what you said, I agree with. Like, I see a lot of myself in Piglet, but for me, it's almost more comforting. Like, especially being a kid who grew up with a lot of anxiety, and, like, you didn't necessarily always know what you were feeling because, like, we didn't talk about, like, mental health when we were children. You know, that wasn't like
Yeah.
a normalized thing. So I think going back now as an adult and actually like understanding those feelings more, like I think Piglet's a good representation for kids or just for anyone who's like really trying to not let their anxiety and fear overpower them. And he's always sort of trying to overcome that. And there's a lot of admirable qualities about him. But I think he's just like, he's adorable. We love him.
Yeah.
Love his style.
I love his little vest.
Yeah.
Cute little vest. He does
And
have
I kind of hope he is gay, because he's like a gay icon.
Yeah.
If that's true. I would love that.
Yeah, you know, just
Love that for him.
yeah, I know, right? That'd be pretty great. I don't know if it was ever confirmed, and plus it's also Disney, so
So probably not. But
at least not yet. They're very slow on the curve there for representation in general, so
yes, correct. But yeah,
But yeah.
that is Winnie the Pooh.
we did it. And it turned out surprisingly wholesome and introspective, which I guess I wasn't exactly expecting, but
Yeah, I feel like we got deeper than we've gotten on a lot of these, and I was like, did not think Winnie the Pooh would be the one to bring that out of me, but, you know.
yeah.
Got some intense rage, also
yes.
with Tigger, but, you know.
I think that's really interesting to me that you dislike him so much, because like that was your favorite. Tigger was your favorite for a long time.
I wonder if I just loved his design, because I think you're right. I think out of all the characters, he to me is the most like, I think that's why I like those stuffed animals, was because I just was drawn to them. But I loved, like, there was the Tigger movie, like I was so excited. I don't know, it was really, really interesting. Like when I watched him and I was like, I cannot stand him.
So just to run through my list again, starting at number 10, I have Gopher, Owl, Kanga, Piglet, Rabbit, Roo, Christopher Robin, Pooh, Tigger, and then Eeyore at number 1.
And then my list, I have 10 is Gopher, Owl, Roo, Rabbit, Tigger, Kanga, Christopher Robin, Eeyore, Winnie the Pooh, and Piglet.
So yeah, that is Winnie the Pooh.
This one was interesting. This is the first time we've done, like, technically characters from a book.
Right.
I guess book turned movie, but
Turn TV show, turn everything. All forms of media.
yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, I mean, if anyone has any strong opinions on favorite Winnie the Pooh characters, or if you would disagree with me and Alyssa on any of ours, you can, you know, send us a message on Instagram or Twitter, or you can email us and let us know what you think.
Yep. And we'll be back next week, and we actually have a special guest. We have our second guest who will be making an appearance on our show. We're very excited for our next episode.
We'll be back next week.
We'll be back.
Bye. We would like to thank Joseph McDade for our intro music. He provides free music available for all kinds of creative use. The song that we used is called Sunrise Expedition, and you can find it and his other music on his website, josephmcdade.com. If you would like to reach us, you can email us at r3podcasts@gmail.com. That's R, the number 3, podcasts@gmail.com. Or you can find us on Instagram by searching Research Rank Repeat.